Ladies, can you hold space for your husband's vulnerability? For many years, sharing emotions and feelings and fears have been the scariest thing for a man. Because if your family is like mine, many of the boys in the family grow up hearing things like, don't cry, be strong, man up. So they're not allowed to express their feelings. They're not allowed to hurt, to feel pain, or to express their disappointment when things are going awry. So for years, for the majority of their life, from a child, they are taught to stuff, to do away with, to not express, to not verbally communicate how they're feeling. And then when they become these husbands and they're in relationship as wives, we then become frustrated that they can't express themselves. We are hostile towards them because we want to know, why can't you tell me how you feel? Well, imagine growing up in an environment where you was never allowed to even figure out for yourself what it is that you're feeling. And now in this wonderful new age of society where therapy is encouraged, and we have a society and a world and the internet that's telling us how to figure out and process our emotions. And more men, particularly African American men, are starting to open up to that. But now the challenge is becoming, as women, particularly as African American women, can you handle it? Can you hold space for a husband who's ready and willing to express his feelings, his thoughts, and his emotions about things that historically have made you uncomfortable? Can you handle his tears? Can you create a safe space for him to bring to you his fears, his insecurities, his angst, his worries, his concerns, without feeling your own insecurities or disengagement, because you've been wired to think that men aren't supposed to be this vulnerable. In fact, our society says vulnerability is a weakness. So explain to me how, as a wife, you can hold respect for a husband for being vulnerable when you may be wired and programmed to think that his vulnerability is weak. Ladies, we have to learn to expand our hearts and our mind towards our husband's emotions. I have to be honest with you, when I was starting off in my relationship, very early in the relationship, I grew up with that mentality that men don't cry. And the very first time my husband, prior to being my husband, I'm surprised he married me, to be honest, when he showed me those emotions, when he showed me his fears, his dissatisfaction with life, and it showed up as tears, I freaked out. In fact, I was so uncomfortable with my own fear, my own shame, and my own emotions. I had no room for his. And so I quickly encouraged him, I need you to stop. I need you to man up. You can't do that here. And so I knew I created a space that wasn't safe for his feelings and emotions. But then years after doing work, like learning how myself to be emotionally aware, learning that empathy was truly not just observing someone's hurt and pain, but being willing to sit in it. And I have to be honest, I wasn't willing to sit with a person's hurt and pain, and not even my husband's hurt and pain, until I learned to sit with my own. So the reason when I talk about marriage, I encourage and focus on the importance of healing. Healing being becoming aware of how you think, feel, and believe about yourself, about marriage, those ideas, those thoughts that have separated you from the love of God. And the reason I say that is because shame, pain, hurt, discomfort, abuse, abandonment, rejection sets us up to believe things about ourselves that God never intended. And if we're moving from that place of our constant, where we individually are constantly living in the energy of shame, not good enough, not lovable, unacceptable. If we believe that about ourselves, that is the energy we bring into the marriage and we offer our spouse. And so when we give that back to our husbands, we do not create a space where he can truly allow himself to openly express to you his fears and his emotions. And the worst thing we can do as a woman is to create a level of trust and intimacy with our husbands where they are willing to open up to us the deepest, scariest parts of themselves. And then we go out and share it with someone else. I promise you, if you do that, or if you then later weaponize what he's told you about himself, and you share that and with other people, or you then later throw it back in his face, you will never get that level of intimacy from him again. And so true intimacy is the term "into me I see." Everyone wants to be seen fully and then accepted for all of the things they've experienced, been through, felt, heard about themselves. And this is what I believe when the Bible tells us that Adam and Eve was naked and unashamed. I believe the journey to marriage is to get us back to that place where we can be with our spouses and be naked and unashamed, where we can talk to one another about the hard, difficult, scary things without the shame, without the fear, and without worrying about being rejected or abandoned because our spouse can't handle what we're saying. So, ladies, this one is for you. I'm asking you, are you safe? Can you handle your husband's vulnerability? Are you equipped to make space for his tears, for his fears, for his insecurities, for his doubts? Or does he have to hide them in other things? So when you say you want a loving, healthy marriage and you want your husband to be there for you, I need to know, can you be there for him? Because it's a new time, and it's time for everyone to wake up to who God called us to be loving, to be peace, to have joy, to operate in kindness, especially in the marriage. You know, the word says, husband and wives submit one to another. And we can only do that when we first submit to God. And I want you to have a marriage where you can truly walk in that thing fully naked, meaning I can trust my husband with everything, with all of me. But he has to also know that he can trust you with all of him. I pray this message bless you. If it has, leave me a comment. Let me know. Have you cultivated a marriage where your spouse can truly be naked and unashamed? Or do you yourself struggle with feeling free enough to be able to open up and talk and share your deepest concerns? I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to working with you. If you need that kind of help, I have a program called Think Your Way to a Better Marriage. And in that program, I begin to help couples open up to those parts of themselves that they feel like they have to hide. And when they learn to break free of the limited thoughts and beliefs that's creating the fear and learn to be open and vulnerable, the marriage thrives. And that's what I want to see happen in 2025.